Well, hello, this is part 4 of OCR People revision, and I'm going to talk today about recruiting workers and how to do it, to get it right. So when do businesses recruit workers? Well, it tends to be as the business is growing and they need more staff, if a worker leaves for any reason, and maybe somebody got promoted internally, so you need to recruit somebody else. Why is it important to get it right? It can be very expensive to recruit. It can be time consuming and expensive to train a new worker. You've got to make sure you're getting the right person because it could impact on your customer service. It can obviously have a big impact on sales and profit if you've got the wrong person. And you have to make sure it's ethical and legal. In other words, it follows employment law in the UK. So no discrimination, etc. And we'll cover that at the end of this unit. What does the process look like? Well, we have to draw up a job description. Describe what the job actually involves. Then you specify what the person has to be like. So it's called a person specification. What skills do they need? Qualifications, experience. Then you advertise the vacancy, and I'll talk a little bit in the next bit about how to do this. Shortlist when you get the application forms in or the CVs in. Decide which ones you're going to interview. You might interview the candidates. You might do some kind of testing like psychometric testing. There's lots of those online if you want to have a look at them. And then you select and recruit the candidates. Now, the ways of advertising jobs externally might be that you advertise on websites. It might be on your own website. It might be on special jobs websites like indeed.co.uk or monster.co.uk. Have a look at those, how to vary your own interests. Used for lots of different jobs, locally and nationally. Social media is another very useful place for jobs to be posted. You might put a vacancy on your own social media page as a business. It's cheap, but you might not reach many people. And then LinkedIn is a social media network for people. It's like Facebook, but it's your professional career. So a lot of employment agencies and businesses use LinkedIn to find candidates. And again, it's used for lots of jobs locally and nationally. Now, local newspapers usually have a job section, and they might put them on their website. It's usually fairly cheap to advertise there, and it usually tends to be lower paid, lower skilled jobs where people would just come from the local community, where you're not going to move house to get a new job in a low paid or low skilled job like this. So it'd be things like carers, waiters and waitresses, that kind of thing. And national newspapers quite often have whole sections for advertising jobs, reasonably expensive to advertise. And it's usually things like, I don't know, professor of this at a university or a head of this at some charity. So it's quite high level jobs where the skills are quite specialised and people might actually want to move house to do the job. So you don't necessarily just need to stick to local staff. Another place where you might get very specialised jobs advertised is in specialist magazines such as Marketing Week, where obviously you get special marketeers, or The Lancet, which is the doctor's magazine. And so if you need somebody with very specialised skills and experience, that there won't be many people with that type of experience, then it's a good place to start. And job centres are run by the government. That's where you go if you haven't got a job. You have to go and do what's called signing on, to say that you haven't got a job and that you need to get benefits, but also they allow people to look for jobs in the local area. It tends to be honest, it wouldn't be the higher skilled jobs that would be advertised at the job centre. And then word of mouth is where you tell people there's a job. So you might tell your employees, can you keep an eye out if if you know anybody who wants a job here. Sometimes there are actually bonuses for employees. I've known it as a teacher where if we brought in a new physics teacher because they were so short, we would have got a bonus in our pay packet. So that's pretty good, isn't it? And that's either when you're looking for local people or in a specialist industry. So for example, like I just said, a specialist as in a physics teacher where they couldn't find any and they said to us, you'll get a bonus. That was word of mouth. But the other one is, say that, I don't know, the local hairdressers needs a new junior or something. They might say to their juniors already, have you got any friends who might want to do it? So that's word of mouth. Anyway, this little fun section is now over.